What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats, as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Black Ops 6. And in today's episode, I decided I wanted to dive into the brand new weapons that came with Season 1, so in this one, we're covering the KRIG C. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile. And with the KRIG C, it's going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill to the body. And with our headshot damage multiplier, it's 1.15, meaning headshots are useless by default on this gun. It's going to take you the same number of shots to the head as it will anywhere else in the body, unless you're using the CHF barrel. If you put this barrel on, now it requires 2 headshots mixed in with body shots at any range in order to reduce the number of shots to kill, so it's moderately effective. As for our rate of fire, it's a little bit on the slower side for a full auto assault rifle in this game at 638 rounds per minute. And what this means for our time to kill potential is with a 4-shot kill, we're killing in just 282 milliseconds, which is quite an impressive time to kill value for an assault rifle in this game. And at a distance, it also has quite an impressive time to kill for an assault rifle at 376 milliseconds. Then when it comes to those headshots, if you're using the CHF barrel and you manage to land those 2 headshots mixed in with a body shot up close, you can get that 3-shot kill for a time to kill value of 188 milliseconds. And then finally for time to kill, let's have a look at rapid fire, which will increase our rate of fire up to 714 rounds per minute, and that cuts our 4-shot time to kill potential down to 252 milliseconds. And that's starting to get into the territory where it's competitive with SMGs up close. Next up, let's get into our range profile, and the KRIG C has a very solid 4-shot kill range at right around 42 meters, which actually exceeds its hit scan range with its default bullet velocity at 750 meters per second. And therefore, at least in my opinion, for 6v6 multiplayer, you probably don't need one of the barrels that boosts your damage range or bullet velocity, but here are the values on those anyway. Just like with all of the assault rifles I've tested so far, the gain twist barrel boosts our bullet velocity and therefore our hit scan range by 40%. The long barrel will increase our damage range by 40%, but not our velocity, whereas the reinforced barrel boosts both of those values by 20%. If you insist on going with one of these barrels, I would recommend going with the reinforced barrel, just because it balances both of those values very nicely. And then finally, I did want to show rapid fire on this chart as well, because rapid fire will reduce both our range value as well as our bullet velocity value by 10%, while simultaneously improving our time to kill potential due to that increased fire rate. As for hardcore game modes, this is one of the only assault rifles in the game that is a guaranteed 1-shot kill at all ranges, anywhere in the body, as long as you're not shooting through some form of cover. So definitely a standout there. If you guys play hardcore and haven't tried this out yet, I think you'll like it quite a bit. After that, let's dive into our hipfire stats, and across the board, the KRIG C is just a little bit above average for hipfire out of the assault rifle category, so not bad at all there. And that goes for our minimum spread as well as our maximum spread. Then when it comes to recoil, the KRIG C has some interesting recoil. For the first 12 or so shots that you fire, it basically just kicks straight upward, super easy to control for those first 12 rounds. And then it starts cutting fairly hard to the right while also increasing in magnitude for that vertical recoil. So it starts to become a lot less controllable if you hold that trigger down for too long. However, in most situations, you should be killing your enemies at least within your first 12 rounds, hopefully even fewer than 12 rounds. And in that case, the KRIG C is a very accurate and easy to control weapon. Now to take this a step farther, let's have a look at the recoil with the CHF barrel. And as you can see here, definitely a whole lot more recoil on that. Even with those first 12 rounds fired, you're gonna have to work a lot harder to counteract that recoil. And it's a very similar story with the rapid fire attachment as well. This one will be increasing your recoil quite a bit. So just be aware of that if you are using one of these attachments. And with that out of the way, let's get into our handling stats. And our aim down sight time is a little bit on the slower side for assault rifles in this game at 260 milliseconds, whereas our sprint to fire time is right around average for an assault rifle, so nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to that. Then for our slide to fire time, pretty standard for assault rifles at 370 milliseconds, and our dive to fire time also standard for assault rifles at 450 milliseconds. Now you might be wondering why I'm saying that, whereas in the previous episode with the XM4, I said it was 470 milliseconds. Well, with these, I am hand testing for dive to fire since they don't display it in the menus, whereas in the patch notes, they actually gave us an indication of what that standard dive to fire time actually is, and that assisted me in doing some more accurate hand testing, so I know which frame exactly I need to start the timer on. So this means with that XM4, it is 450 milliseconds as well. As for our reload add time with the KRIG, this is 1.42 seconds, which is pretty decent for an assault rifle, but that's of course just with the base magazine. If we use the flip mag, it alternates between 1.18 seconds and 1.36 seconds. The fast mag reloads in 1.17 seconds, extended mag 1 with 45 rounds will reload in 1.73 seconds, and extended mag 2 with 70 rounds will reload in 2.02 seconds. Now finally, for the base stats of this gun, let's have a look at our movement speed stats. Keeping in mind the stats stated in the menus aren't always perfectly accurate, and these are the actual in-game values you will experience. With the KRIG C, our base movement speed is a little bit better than average for assault rifles at 4.8 meters per second, whereas all of our other values, our aim walking speed, sprint speed, and tactical sprint speed, they're all pretty much standard for assault rifles. They're right around that realm of average, so no surprises there whatsoever. And with that, we can finally move into some excellent attachment combinations I've got for you guys with the KRIG C. And starting it off with my first one, I always like having a balanced stealth build. I just think this suits my playstyle really nicely for regular public matches. I often like staying off the radar, flanking enemies, and just having a nice balanced all-arounder, especially when it comes to assault rifles. So with this one, we're using the Kepler Microflex optic. I really like that optic. Not a huge fan of the iron sights on this gun. They're not horrible, but I kind of prefer using an optic on this one. We've got the suppressor on there to stay off the radar, the Ranger foregrip to help a little bit with horizontal recoil control, which you can definitely see there, especially for those first 12 or so rounds that you fire. It really does kick just like straight upward now, so it makes it very easy to manage as long as you're not holding that trigger down for too long. But on top of that, the Ranger foregrip also helps very noticeably with your sprint and tactical sprint movement speeds, which is great for that flanky, stealthy playstyle. We're also using the quick draw grip for a faster aim down sight speed. And then finally, we're topping it off with that Infiltrator stock, which I absolutely love in this game. It allows you to aim down sight and strafe very noticeably faster, which can absolutely help you win gunfights. So that's the first build, and definitely my go-to build at the moment for the KRIG C. However, I always want to share a Gunfighter build with 8 attachments, and with this one, we're once again using that Kepler Microflex. We've got a compensator this time, because we're going to go all in on recoil control for this one. We've got the reinforced barrel to help boost our bullet velocity and our range a little bit. The vertical foregrip to give us maximum horizontal recoil control. And taking a look at it here, with that grip combined with the compensator, you can see it significantly cuts down on the recoil for both vertical as well as horizontal recoil. We're also rocking extended mag 1 on this for a slightly larger mag without completely destroying reload time. We have the commando grip for a nice balance between aim down sight speed and sprint out speed. The Infiltrator stock, because you're likely not going to catch me without an Infiltrator stock in this game unless I don't have it unlocked yet. And then finally, we have the FMJ rounds, just so we can punch through cover a little bit better, as well as shoot down streaks much more effectively. And this leaves us with one last build I wanted to share for you guys, and this is my aggressive build with the KRIG C. And with this one, we've got the suppressor on there, largely because I feel like this gun is more than accurate enough, especially if you're playing aggressively and keeping your gunfights up close and personal, so I'd rather just stay off the radar. We once again have the Ranger foregrip, so we can sprint around the map as aggressively as possible. This time we're using the CQB grip, which helps with sprint out time, slide to fire time, and dive to fire time. We see some really significant improvements to all of those values. However, you might notice our aim down sight time is lacking. It's 260 milliseconds, which is not great for an aggressive build. This is where the Strelic laser comes in. And I managed to do a little bit of testing with this one. What this does is it significantly speeds up how quickly you get into full accuracy while you're in the process of aiming down sight. So you don't have to get fully aimed down sight to be very accurate. And as you can see here, I'm firing before I'm fully aimed down sight, and yet I'm more than accurate enough to handle any sort of close range engagement. So you don't really need amazing aim down sight time with this. And to top this off, if you're worried about that laser being visible, this is what it looks like from the enemy's perspective in a super dark environment. This is like the best case scenario for enemy players when it comes to them seeing your laser. And even in this best case scenario, it's very difficult to actually see that laser beam. They may see the dot, but it's highly unlikely that this is actually going to alert them to your presence when they otherwise wouldn't have known about you. So definitely nice there. And then of course we are topping that off with the Infiltrator stock. And this one is just excellent for sprinting into gunfights. You can challenge SMGs very effectively with this, especially with that Strelic laser, which I previously hadn't really done any testing with. Now that I have, I am going to be implementing this on some more of my builds. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the KRIG C. As for my thoughts on this gun, I really like it. It's a nice all-around consistent 4-shot kill assault rifle. Personally, I actually prefer it a little bit more over the AK-74, even though the 74 does have a slightly faster fire rate, slightly better time to kill potential. It has worse recoil and worse handling compared to the KRIG C, and that's why I would rather lean in the direction of this gun. Now, of course, these are just my opinions, and I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you guys feeling about the KRIG C so far? And also, if you guys missed the previous episode or any other episodes if you're watching this down the road, I will leave a link to the gun guide playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.